Good morning. This lesson is for Pre-Algebra, Chapter 2, Lesson 2, and the quote again comes from Horseradish, Bitter Truths You Can't Avoid by Lemony Snicket, page 15. An old cowboy song celebrates home on the range where deer and antelope play. But anyone who has seen deer and antelope know that when they are frolicking, they scarcely look where they are flinging their hooves, which is why cowboys have been pummeled almost to extinction. Okay. Today's lesson, again, lesson 2 from chapter 2, is all about the distributive property. The distributive property has a lot of different things that it can do. So much that we call it, we have different ways of doing it. The first way I'm going to tell you about is mental math. Mental math with the distributive property is a little counterintuitive, but that's fine. But it is a great way to do multiplication when you don't have a calculator, which there will be times when you don't have a calculator. So here we go. So for the adding one, 20 times 102. I really don't want to multiply 20 and 102. So I am going to simplify 102 into 100 plus 2. And I'm still going to multiply everything by 20. So if you agree, I'm still multiplying by 102. It just looks different. Now, the distributive property means I'm going to multiply everything outside of, multiply the thing outside of the parentheses times everything that is inside the parentheses. So I'm going to multiply 20 times 100 and 20 times 2. So that's 20 times 100 plus, hold on, sorry, Miss Michelle just walked in. All right, so I'm going to do 20 times 100 plus, because the symbol just the operation just comes down, 20 times 2. Well, 20 times 100 is going to be 2 with 3 zeros, so 2,000. There we go. Plus, 20 times 2 is 40, so if I add it up, it's going to be 2,040. All right? So this is a way of doing kind of hardcore multiplication in a way that is really just some easy multiplication and either some adding or subtracting. And again, this works really well for mental math or for doing really hardcore multiplication when you can't use a calculator, which will happen, folks, so be prepared. All right, so here I'm going to split the 199 into something that's easier to multiply by. Here I used addition, but over here I can actually use subtraction. So I'm going to do 9 times 200 minus 1, because 200 minus 1 is still 199. So I'm still multiplying by 199, but it's in a slightly different form. And again, I'm going to distribute, so I'm going to do 9 times 200 minus, because the operation just comes down, 9 times 1. Well, 9 times 2 is 18 with 2 zeros. So 9 times 200 is actually 1,800. Minus 9 times 1 is 9, and then if I just do some quick subtraction, I'm going to end up with 791. There we go. All right, and I just did that subtraction in my head. Obviously, you might want to show some work. Again, this way works really well when you don't want to have to multiply and you don't have a calculator. Okay, so this also works for decimals, where I can split up the 10.6 into 10 plus 0.6. So I'm going to multiply 5 times 10 plus 0.6, because again, 10 plus 0.6 is the same as 10.6. It's just giving me an easier way of looking at things. So I'm going to distribute the 5 times everything inside of the parentheses, 5 times 10 plus 5 times 0.6. Well, that's going to, 5 times 6 is 30, and then 1 decimal place over means it's 3. So 5 times 0.6 is really 30. Then you got to move it over, so that's 3. So, actually, let me show the work real quick. Oops, that's a 6. And then we've got 50, because 5 times 10 is 50, plus 3. Well, that's just 53. Okay? So again, it turns kind of a nasty multiplication problem into a slightly less nasty addition or subtraction problem. Just a hint of multiplication. Just a hint of multiplication. All right, next slide. The next form of the distributive property we're going to talk about is what I like to call the extraction method. And you can kind of think about it like Cold War era, Metal Gear Solid, maybe, Black Hawk, I don't know, I didn't see a Black Hawk Down, and probably you shouldn't either because I think it's rated R. But anyway, we're going to pull things out, we're going to go in there and we're going to get them out of there, right? Okay? Because it's going to be easier to get them out there than doing this nasty multiplication, okay? And the things that we're going to pull out are the things that look the same in each equation. So for this first one, addition, we've got 7 times 21 plus 7 times 9. What are we going to pull out? We're going to pull out the things that look the same. So the 7s look the same. So we're going to pull out the 7, and he's going to be outside of the parentheses, and we're going to leave the things that we didn't pull out, which we didn't pull out the 21. Oops, the 21. We didn't pull out the 21, the plus, or, oh, that's a 6, Miss DH. That's not a 6, that's a 9. We didn't pull out the, did it again. We didn't pull out the 9, okay? We didn't pull out the 21, the plus, or the 9. We did pull out the 7, and that's why it's outside of the parentheses, all right? Well, now, I just do the order of operations. What's 21 plus 9? Well, 21 plus 9 is 30. 7 times 30. Well, 7 times 3 is 21, and then you just add a 0. Add that 0. So there you go. That's it. So that's the extraction method with addition. Here's a subtraction method with subtraction. Extraction method with subtraction. So I'm going to pull out the things that are the same. In this case, it's the 12. And I'm going to keep everything I didn't and put it in parentheses. Okay, well, 52 minus 62 is negative 10. Right? Because I'm just following the order of operations now. Parentheses first, then we got to do multiplication. Well, 12 times 1 is 12. Add a 0, and since it's a positive times a negative, my answer is going to be negative. There we go. All right. This is like a crazy extraction method just because there's no parentheses, but since it's still multiplication, I can still extract things. Well, what is the thing that is the same in both? Well, it's the 3, so I'm going to extract the 3, and I'm going to keep what is left over, 15 plus 5. Well, 15 plus 5 is 20, 3 times 2 is 6, and then just add the 0, 60. There we go. Isn't that so much easier than doing all this crazy stuff? The only thing that's hard is obviously identifying when you can do extraction. Some of you guys will just be like, I'm going to do order of operations, and it's going to be done. Well, if you do the extraction method, it just might make your order of operations go a little faster. All right, we're on to the last part of the distributive property, and that is the most classic form of the distributive property. That's when you have variables. I honestly think that the distributive property was invented for this very reason. It's when you can't do the order of operations because there's a variable in there. You can't do 3 times some number that you don't know and then do 7 minus that. You can't do that. And I'm looking at this right side right here. The right side's on the left side and the left side's on the right side. Anyway. Okay. The right side is just because the number that's outside of the parentheses is on the right. Oh, you know what? I even switched them. Maybe it was intuitive. There we go. So when it's on the left side, when it's on the left side, it doesn't matter. You're going to just distribute the number to everything inside the parentheses. So it's going to be 2 times 7 minus 2 times 3d. Okay? And you got to remember that there's a multiplication going on there. So if I were to even write this out even more, it would be 2 times 7 minus 2 times 3 times d. Okay? Well, 2 times 7 is 14, minus 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times d is 6d. And if you guys remember from the previous lesson, you can't simplify this anymore. These aren't like terms. 6d is different from 14. 14 is what we call a constant, 6 is a coefficient, and d is a variable. All right, so you can't simplify any more than that. You can add the opposite, and it just turns it into 14 plus negative 6d, but it's the exact same thing, and the answers are exactly the same. So either answer for that case is correct. All right, so now when we've got something on the right side, there we go, on the right side, and it just means that the number that we're multiplying or distributing is on the right side of the parentheses, you're still going to do the same thing, because really, if you follow the commutative property of multiplication, you could just write it like this. because since they're being multiplied, it doesn't matter which order you put them in. You're still going to distribute and you're still going to get the same answer. Okay, so don't freak if you see a number on the left or on the right side of the parentheses that you have to distribute. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do the original problem as written, and it's going to be 3 times 6m plus 3 times 1. And again, I can rewrite this as 3 times 6 times m, because 3m is the same as 3 times m. Okay, so it's just a whole boatload of multiplication, and 3 times 1. Well, 3 times 6 is 18. 18 times m is 18m plus 3, because 3 times 1 is 3. There we go, guys. All right. Man, that's just crazy up there. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.